I was dreading coming here and doing this, partially because I woke up at 5 a.m. and I had like a full day, but it was like the anticipation of, yeah, we're gonna do this for months. And then when it finally happened, I was like,
Oh yeah,
I wanna do anything but this.
and it's like the fear of the commitment, because now there's commitment, there's responsibility, you need more structure. And like, even when we were getting ready and I was posting on my phone, I was like, wow, I've been up since 5 or 4:30 in the morning. I'm exhausted, and you're anticipating an hour of minimum of talking.
Yeah, so it was, yeah, the running out of steam part, but I was literally like, can we cancel, can we put it off? And I feel like it's a common thing for a lot of people, I think, just because I do it all the time. The thing that's so easy to do right in front of you, like it'll take you 2 hours to sit down and do the thing that'll change your life, or like it's setting you on a course for something, and then you're like, actually, I don't want to do it.
Again, because success is cool, right? You see people that are successful, but success is completely different than what's portrayed on Instagram, social media, entertainment industry, movies. That's not what it's like in real life. And like, I think there's different levels of it, but I'm saying that because when you're committing to something, there's anxiety of, am I going to be successful? If I am successful, what it's going to look like? If I'm not successful, how am I going to deal with that? And there's all these questions, and I think it's really just, I'm committing to something and I have an idea of what I want it to look like, and what if it doesn't?
What
right?
if the reality doesn't match the vision that I had for it?
Yeah, 100%. Expectations are where most things go to die, right? Because if you have expectations, a lot of times we have unrealistic expectations, and all of a sudden the reality starts to take form, and it's completely different than what you were expecting. But a lot of times it's better than what you were expecting. It's just completely different. And for some reason, as human beings, we're just scared of that. We're just scared of the unknown.
Right.
It's just scary in general. So like, all we're really talking about is taking that first step, which is the hardest step.
Yeah, it's like the leap of faith in Indiana Jones. Just do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions that happen after just doing it. Give me an example of something that you just have to do to learn. I have one in my head, but I want to see what.
For example, I'm learning how to cook right now. Before like this week or last week of learning how to cook, it's like dreading it, like, oh, I need to eat, but I don't want to cook. But it's like all you have to do, like just chop some vegetables and start, and then the momentum picks up.
So my challenge to you, or my question is, have you ever noticed what makes you feel that way about cooking? Right?
Steps.
Yeah, and then it really doesn't take as long as you think, right?
Right.
But I can procrastinate on cooking too, knowing that most of my meals are only going to take me 10, 15 minutes. But why does the anticipation keep me away from it for so long?
It's like you spend 2 hours freaking out about doing it, and then it's like, well, I could have cooked like 4 things in that time.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And is that like just the dynamic of how we view work and what we view work as? Like, is cooking work to us? My cousin's a chef, but I'm sure he's not always like, yeah, I can't wait to go cook. I'm sure sometimes it just feels like an absolute job to him.
I have all these things that I've saved for the podcast. I was like, oh, that looks cool, let's talk about it. And now they're all kind of melding together. But all according to my plan.
That's actually all according to my plan, because
Different plan.
I always tell you everything is connected.
Yes.
Like, everything is connected. So like, you start somewhere, and even in my head, we were talking about diving into something or taking that first step, right? And I held myself back, but I'm gonna bring it up now, is what do you do before you take that first step when you're a little kid? Like, when you're learning how to walk, what are you actually doing?
Thinking about walking.
You're falling, right?
Oh,
like,
sure.
So we call it walking. If you look at what you're actually doing, you're putting your foot out in front of you and you're catching yourself from falling, right? So like, not failing and not falling is interpreted as success from an early age, right? The first time that you don't fall and the first time you catch yourself, what does everybody around you do?
They clap and they pull out the
They
camera
reward
and
you.
they video it.
Yeah, they reward you. A young baby to me, and don't misconstrue these words, but it's like a puppy, right?
But that's just like our experience.
Yeah,
like
you're
we
just
both have dogs, so
but you're,
we don't really have the children's stories
you know,
between the two of us.
but when a dog does something and you give him a treat, that's how he responds to it. So how come a young human being's not going to do that? You do something and people cheer and they give you, that's positive.
And it
When do it again,
reinforces,
it's reinforced. I think that just starts a whole pattern throughout how our society is structured. Do this, get this, and then it starts to get difficult if you're not attaining something every time you do something. That's where you have to learn how to process things. I think that's my perspective, obviously, but like.
Right. It's a treat yourself mentality.
But as we get older and we mature, we learn that it can't always be that way. It's more important to not attain something because then we're forced to learn and discover new things about ourselves.
Yeah. Let's keep talking about discipline of like, just do it. Do the hard thing that's right in front of you. I think it's an interesting thing that it builds momentum where it's easier. I started going to the gym and now it's easier to go to the gym, or I look forward to it. I started cooking and now I'm like, oh, the perspective shift is insane of how much easier something is to do once you start. You take the first step and it's like this snowball. Like, oh, I had that in me the entire time.
So my question is, in your own words, is it actually easier? Or does it feel easier because you as a human being are getting smarter and building more confidence?
You know what, I think.
It's like the chicken and egg,
Yeah,
right?
no, I think it is a confidence thing, but my brain thinks of it in a different sense. You're proving to yourself that you can, in theory, if you've never done it before. Like, I can do that in theory, but I don't really believe it, or I don't really know for sure, or I don't really know that if I spend all this effort, it's not going to be worth it. Like, I don't know until I start, and you sort of prove it to yourself over time. I think that's what grows the confidence, but it's kind of the little baby steps that make
100%. I mean, we talked about that earlier today. I went to the gym at 5 o'clock, and then you sent me a text like, hey, I'm at the gym too.
magic.
And then I've helped you with your workouts at points, and you grabbed the 20-pound weight, and I noticed that the movement that you were doing, you couldn't do that when we first started, right? But the 20 pounds didn't change in weight. It's always been 20 pounds. So what happened?
Body got stronger.
Yeah, you got stronger, right? And like, that's how everything works. The mind, the body. So again, you said discipline. I think discipline just happens by doing and continually doing. Repetition.
I saw something really interesting. I watched the video like 3 times, just this little snippet. I wonder if this resonates with you or if it was more like the girly pop kind of stuff.
I mean, it's
Might be more
October,
women.
so
That's true.
I'm all pumpkin spiced out. So I
that's
am that girl right now. If I go to Starbucks, there's gonna be pumpkin something in my coffee.
Okay, well. Yes. Okay, fine. Fair. So, you threw me off.
I know I did. My sense of humor.
Okay, so the video was basically how people talk about discipline and how words have meaning sometimes to us even when they don't. It's like the connotation versus the denotation. For some people, and I felt this way before as well, the word discipline is so negative. It's like I have to do it. I have to do it. Why can't I do it? This is so hard for me. I'll never be able to do it. All those negative things. So this woman was like, instead of using that word, I started just like it's devotion. It's like I love myself, so I'm going to take care of myself. Instead of like discipline, it's like blah, 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 drill sergeant, you have to. It became like I get to cook for myself. I love going to the gym. And she just did a little perspective change of calling it something else. It changed everything for her.
I mean, they in the psychology field call that reframing. I used to utilize it a lot when I coached. I would train my staff and use the word articulation manipulation, right? How can you take the words you're using and mix them up and utilize the English language, which I'm not very good at, by the way.
Talk caveman,
Yeah.
funny, huh?
I'm not very good at talking.
And now you have a microphone.
Yeah, seriously. The biggest one that I used all the time was the wrong uses of want versus need. A lot of people say, I need this. there's not a lot of things you actually really need. You want it, but you got used to having it. So that has been a habit that you built, right?
Yeah.
So discipline early on, like going to your room, being punished was a form of discipline. We connect discipline to negativity, when discipline can be a very positive thing if it's balanced. Discipline can be misconstrued in ways that pull negative feelings and emotions out of you, which can hold you back from doing something that you actually want to do.
Right.
Right? I need to do this versus I want to do this. Right?
Desire.
Yeah.
I've heard it a different way. Instead of need, like I need to do this, like this task in front of me, I have to get it done. I get to get it done. It's from the standpoint of gratitude. I heard about that in
Yeah,
in
100%.
therapy, where it's like, oh, I have to do the dishes. Wow, I get to do the dishes. I have a home. I have running water.
have the
I have the
ability to do
ability to do laundry and have clean clothes. I get to, and it's the same thing. It's oddly the same word, but like in the different sense of the meaning. I get to, and just taking that reflection. I don't know if that necessarily helps you get it done, or if it just has you take that moment and make it a thoughtful, meaningful moment.
I think a word like moment and situation is very important, because I think every word or every experience can be positive or negative depending on the situation, right? And depending on the interaction between the counterparts and who is involved, right?
Right.
The first thing that comes to my mind, if this is the first time people are hearing us talk, they don't know that I've been to rehab, and like I was basically a workaholic and trainaholic and didn't know how to relax. And because I was a goal setter and I like to attain things, my therapist came up with the idea of making Saturday and Sunday, when I was in rehab, a day or 2 days to relax. But that was actually a goal. It was my goal to relax. So making it something that I was viewing as a reward made it attainable for me, and I learned, right? Where like for me, and part of it was how I was nurtured and how I was raised, but also I was a gymnast from 3 years old. I didn't know how to relax. I always had the wheels spinning because that's just what I was used to. I had to learn how to do it. And when you learn how to do it, you open up space for peace and not just always going,
Yeah.
you know?
And I think there's a broader message there, just in terms of anything that a lot of people will take the cop out of, like, oh, it's not my personality. I'm not a relaxed person. Or like, I'll never learn how to do this. Or like, this is who I am. This is how I am. And just our goals don't have to be something like just things to attain. It can be things that make your life better. You know, it's not just like I want to achieve, you know, accolades. It can be like I want to relax, or I want to find peace, or I want to be happy. Those are things not a lot of people neglect in the seeking of something else.
I think we have unrealistic expectations about certain emotions. I want to be happy, and I think we interpret being happy as feeling a certain way all the time. Happiness is not a constant. It's more of a moment. People that I think struggle with not finding happiness aren't absent of the feeling of happiness, but they are so involved in everything else going on in their lives, and they can't slow themselves down. They're always so distracted. They can't absorb and process that moment of happiness because they're worried about everything else. It's like cleaning out a messy closet in your head and just letting other things in and not worrying and trying to be happy. It's being present to experience happiness, right? So the connection between people like me and you, who, again, weren't you like valedictorian of your college class, or didn't you finish like in the top of your
Summa
class?
cum laude, yeah.
You finished very high in your class. So you would be labeled as an overachiever, right? I was
Yeah.
labeled as an overachiever at a young age, always wanted to go above and beyond. When we're constantly chasing that happiness, we're running past the moments that will actually genuinely make us happy.
I had written this down as something to talk about a while back. I was telling you about New York Fashion Week, and I was invited. I'm a model as well as other things, and so I took part in New York Fashion Week, and all the glamour, all the parties, all the things. The thing I was most proud of that week is that I cooked and learned how to make something and took care of myself. It was a little tiny things that I was actually telling people about. They were like, oh my God, how's Fashion Week? And I was telling my friends, I don't remember if I made soup for the first time or what it was, but I was so proud of just the little moments, like being with my dog. It was the tiny things that actually brought me happiness. Not to say that Fashion Week isn't super cool and fun, but I think a lot of people confuse what they see on social media, like celebrities. We glorify a lot of that. When we look at it, we're like, oh my God, this is so cool. But life is in moments. You know, like a party is like a couple of hours of your life. What about the hours that you're living at home? It's just like, you know, a picture is like a second in time versus someone's actual life. And it is those moments where you find, I guess, when you stay in the moment and be present, you can find things that can really bring you joy.
Yeah, and I think it's really learning how to be present, right? It takes practice, where sometimes you just have to stop yourself and, okay, like, I can put these worries about my job or my business or attaining this or finance or whatever, and I have to just separate it right now. And like, this is something that I don't want to miss. And you have to make a conscious effort to make those moments important. If you don't make them important and you make attaining or accolades or attention or whatever more important, I feel like that is where the downward spiral begins, right? Because you're just feeding yourself with money, which is a constant but can run out. Like, all the fuel that you're forced to give yourself can sometimes work in the opposite direction, where if you just relax and let your puppy make you laugh or just be there with your puppy. We both have dogs, and like, I never had a dog until, to be honest, I met your dog. Your dog convinced me to get my dog. At certain points, my happiness, my Super Bowl, whatever, is laying in my bed with my puppy, sleeping on my arm, snoring. Like, it puts me to sleep, it relaxes me, it's peaceful. Like that, if someone was like, okay, give me a picture or draw something that is peaceful for you, that's peaceful for me. That's where I want to be right now. My entire life, I never had good connections with dogs, but I never allowed myself, and that's why I say, allow yourself to experience these things. I just let my guard down, and I let the puppy, Rocket is his name, become more important than whatever else I was doing. At the end of the day, the money, the attention, and everything else, it was never real. The way that a puppy interacts with you is one of the more genuine experiences in the world. It's just pure love. That's why people love dogs.
Yeah.
You know?
So the origin story of me getting a dog was actually through my therapist, and I joke that my therapist prescribed me dog.
Listen, can be better than most medication.
You dog, because Chester is an emotional support animal. At the time, I was a complete mess in a lot of different ways.
I wouldn't know anything about being a complete
Wouldn't
mess.
know anything about that. You wouldn't know anything about being a complete mess. Me neither.
Feel free to fire away some questions if you'd like.
But
We
let me
could
tell
just
my
go like right
story.
into that. You
Let me
tell
tell
your
my
story
story.
and
Okay.
then
So, I was prescribed dog, and I forgot the part after that, how I tell it. But, so basically, Chester helps me stay in the moment. I feel like if there's one thing that I would tell people who are struggling with mental health, with anxiety and depression, it's to be in the moment, at least for me in my experience. This is more like a tool to help than like a, just feel better thing, right? But in my experience, when I'm depressed, I'm worried about the past and lingering on the past. When I'm anxious, I'm worried about the future. And when you're just in the moment, you're feeling neither type of worry.
yeah,
It's like
those feelings are being overrun by a more pure, real, present feeling.
Right.
Right.
So it's like I linger on the past and It's like you could be tortured by the past, that kind of thing. It's like tortured by the thought of the future or the fear of the unknown, and like all of that, it can be crippling too. But for some reason, little things like, okay, the dog needs taken out, the dog needs fed, the dog wants cuddles, the dog wants this. These moments throughout the day, it's like the dog has a schedule, but it helped keep me in the moment.
Yeah, and a dog gives you a purpose at that point, and then the purpose evolves, right? Once you start to figure out your direction, then you build confidence. Or, okay, I want to kind of take a bigger chunk of life and bigger chunk of responsibility because now I'm more disciplined.
So I can get another dog.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if that's what you want to do, good luck. You talk about anxiety, depression, and bouncing back and forth between the past and the future. Eventually, we're probably going to talk about the heaviness of words and experiences and how they can stick to you, right? Like something that's said to you in elementary school, if it was done at the right time, if you were feeling a certain emotion and something was said, that trigger can last almost a lifetime if you don't deal with it. How do you know you need to be dealing with it at 11 years old?
Right.
It's just a word.
Sticks and stones.
Yeah, which when you think about it is bullshit. Like that's just something that was fed down a lot of people's throats back in the day because we really didn't know how to deal with a word that was super impactful, right? And now all the studies looking into trauma and looking into all these things, like those things stick to you and they affect you. I know for a fact my path towards rehab started at a really young age. There was a lot of things that stacked up on top of each other. But again, like not dealing with them and only dealing with them through anger and trying to attain things wasn't teaching me other tools to cope. So obviously I'm gonna break. I was only utilizing one fuel tank and I was constantly pushing things out and I wasn't bringing anything back in. It doesn't work. If you just burn calories and you don't put food back in your system, you die. So like everything in life is like that. The mental, the emotional, all that is very important. But for some reason, the way that our school system, the way our society functions, we are a society of consumption. You need to feed that consumption by doing what? Making more money, spending money. If I spend more money, I gotta make more money. So now I'm in this vicious cycle of consuming myself with things that at the end of the day don't make me go at all. I just think they do because it's constantly in my face, right? And you're very, very educated in that aspect because you have a very strong marketing background. So like if I was to throw like colors at you right now, you could probably tell me what color to put on a billboard with what font that's gonna attract someone to buy this. Right?
Yeah.
That's powerful psychology.
It's
right?
something that's very interesting to me because I feel like everybody's on social media these days, and even all the different worlds that I'm in, marketing, modeling, and entertainment. I was at a party and some very successful people in entertainment. It's just like how the conversation turned to how exhausting making content is. You can view social media from a consumer perspective or from a creator perspective and how it's completely different. To think about how you're going to make something, how you're going to put something out, the work that's put into it. And even like that can be very lucrative, that can be a money-making thing versus I'm going to sit on my couch and scroll all day. And it's like two completely different worlds.
Yeah, the utilization of tools, right? Like strictly Instagram can be a huge moneymaker and a huge tool. And if you utilize it the right way, you can become very successful. But at the same point, if you're just wasting your time scrolling, now that time, which we talk about time as currency, is being wasted just not utilizing the tool.
Yeah.
It's like trying to hammer a nail into the wall with a screwdriver. It doesn't work.
You could probably smash it. Like, use one.
The hammer is going to make it a little bit easier, right? So my whole idea when it comes to like, again, we're talking about tools now, right? Is coming back to depression and anxiety and if I'm only utilizing one of the two things that have been given to me because I don't know the other things exist, I'm really going to struggle.
What do you mean?
The other tools that you have within you, which if you don't utilize them and you don't find other avenues and challenge yourself to learn and expose those traits, you never use them. And I think that's where a lot of people fall into a rut because they've been given a lot of things, but they've only stayed in one lane for so long. And when you stay in one lane for so long, the other lanes kind of become stagnant. Where if you just use them, you can eventually bounce back and forth, which develops a well-balanced person. And I think that is where we always circle back around. No matter what we're doing, we're trying to find that balance.
Like the gifts that are within you or resources?
Yeah, your skills. Like what you're good at, your skills. I don't think the average human being ever truly figures out what they're really good at because they fall victim to the expectations of what our society tells us we should be, right? And what we should be doing at a certain age. Where I think now in the last 10, 15 years, people have really challenged that, right? But you talk about expectations of your family back in the day and what you were supposed to be. You've even expressed, like, I feel like I've fallen short of that, and you've worked through that, right? Because I think your expectations of yourself were different, but there was a fear there.
I think a lot of it is expectation of self, at least now. It could have been like a few years ago. Sometimes you blame other people, like, you did, blah, 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 and I'm like, I feel like it was all me, you know, like you're the person that's holding yourself back when you really think about it. At least that's my experience. I definitely had thoughts of, this is what I'm supposed to be. Why am I not there yet? I should be a successful filmmaker by now. I should have so many books written by now. I should this, I should that. I expected this of myself. I had this vision
Didn't you
for
just
myself.
publish a book?
I did. No, but listen.
We can't throw that one out there?
We will. But it's like this, well, the same, I feel like this ties back to what we were talking about, because in the same way that I was dreading doing this podcast, I have this vision of hosting podcasts and speaking more. I want the end result, but I dread the 1,000 steps that it takes to get there. And so I feel like sometimes our expectations of ourselves is like, I have this expectation of like 30-year-old me when I'm 20. And then when I'm 20, I'm like, I'm gonna have all these things that, like, it takes 10 years to get those things. And so the journey is this thing that I think we forget about with our vision and our disappointment of like, no, it takes steps, no, it takes time. Like everybody who starts their journey in fitness, something like, I want a six-pack, I want this, I want that. But you have to be dedicated, you have to put in the work, or you're not gonna get the vision that you have in your head to be a reality.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, if you're gonna segue into like fitness, the funniest thing about being successful in fitness and changing your body composition, it has nothing to do with physicality. Your success is not physical at all. Yes, you have to utilize your body and your muscles and everything, but like, if you don't have a grasp of yourself up here and like don't have consistency and you can't keep yourself sane, like when it comes to eating, when it comes to going to the gym, getting things done, you're beat before you even started. And part of the issue, again, is that sense of immediacy, right? Where you're just talking about like, okay, yeah, I want to be here because I see this and this is what I'm attracted to. But like, you don't see all the other garbage that you have to go through to get to that point. And is it worth it to get there? Which like, my first venture, business-wise, I was very successful. I started around 25, 26, and developed a stunt program for high school kids to become the best cheerleader they could possibly become. And we had a lot of success very quickly because I was very meticulous about the foundation and the steps, which is a microcosm of everything. But what I'm getting at is I got to that mecca of what I wanted in one path of my life. I wanted a gym. I wanted to develop the best athletes. I wanted to prove how good of a coach I was. And like, when you get there and you recognize like all those things, and there's still an emptiness, it's terrifying, right? And I think for some reason, when we build something, we think it's going to last forever.